Welcome back, friends. It's Savage Sasquatch, and we are in our last episode of Killzone Shadow Fall. This is the, because no one requested it, gameplay of Killzone Shadow Fall, and we finished the last episode, and what seemed like it could have been a really downer of an ending, as we got shot in the face or something like that. And credits rolled, and then all of a sudden, they glitched out, and we're in Mission 10. So, here's the surprise ending.
Acknowledge Q7. We have multiple security breaches.
So, best guess is that we are that girl now. Whose name I never bothered to learn. Alright. So maybe we just need to sneak through here. Crouch, get in, get in. I don't know if we were supposed to be seen, but there was a camera there, and that seemed to be the way. Dope. Why can't we just shoot the camera? Well, I think I'll take that as a backup. Okay. Mission undisclosed. Get to Templar's Point.
There are breaches detected. We estimate 2 to 3 minutes before they clear the podium. They've set up additional cameras. Scan an area before you push through. Stall. Is dead. You should. But our work is not done. We are still at war. The question we now face is how to finish that war. When I created this agency, I understood what its role would be: to operate in the shadows of secrecy and provide intelligence that would ensure our nation's security. Above all, I believe it was our mission to prepare Vectan against the growing Helghast threat. I understood just how important that mission was when we were attacked. Operating in the shadows of secrecy and provide intelligence that would ensure our nation's security. Above all, I believe it was our mission to prepare Vectan against the growing Helghast threat. I understood just how important that mission was when we were attacked just a few weeks ago, when our great building, not far from us, was almost burned to the ground. On that day, over 200 of our team perished in those fires. Countless citizens lost their lives around the city. Thousands of lives. You can't focus all from a fantasy of denial. From that day, we could no longer deny that we feel and feel the threat of our nation. This was a threat that had been allowed to infiltrate our inner society and take advantage of the fear.
Okay.
Scan an area before you push through. You should be proud.
Alright, so we bypassed the first camera. There's another camera. We want to bypass that one. We want to not touch any of these guards to alert them to our presence. We want to just stay stealthy and quiet. So we have to get to 2 terminals, it looks like, and then I think get a rifle, if I'm not mistaken. So since we're undetected, I'm going to go ahead and on a previous attempt, I basically got the last place that we have to go, I believe, is all the way down here, and yes, I died opening this gate, and I think that is where we have to go eventually, is down in there. Not 100% on that, but anyhow. You get acquainted with this area really quick, and as long as they don't detect you, like, you have to steer clear of them, like right here. So that way you don't throw out their suspicion, because as soon as the suspicion's up, engineers will come out and they'll build turrets that see you through stealth, and at that point everything sees you pretty easily. I hope that thing flying overhead can't detect us. But you can do a whole lot, like I haven't tested it, but I imagine you can't walk through the water without being noticed in front of these guys. So we'll stay on the ground. We can go over to the gate here and hop over.
Let them think we lack the will or resolve to fight this war. Every nation faces great challenges.
All right,
This is ours.
that's definitely a big part of this done.
Decision now, so we do not leave future generations with the chaos of ours.
So I've had a lot of trouble going up the stairs that's on the other side from here, so I'm going to see if we can go up these stairs. I just kept having patrols come up, or come down the stairs as I was trying to go up, and so yeah, this seems to work a little better. So we have to go over to here. This is the, I think we have to knife this guy. We're going to open this. Okay, we've got that rifle. They're going to come up for us here. Crap. We were spotted, and that is not good. We might not make it here. Or we might.
I remember when the Helghast first came along.
Alright, we made it. We probably shouldn't have, but
Coexist. Through their suffering, we thought we saw our humanity. But this was a mistake. We should have realized then, as we do now, that the Helghast chose to forsake their humanity long ago. They are an aberration. They do not share our values, and they do not deserve our
Kellen.
compassion.
so Kellen really did die. This really was a tragedy story. Alright, so that seems to be the conclusion of our story. Mission 10 here was a very short mission, if done right. It took me a few tries to get the feel for everything, where you have to stealth around in the best order to hit everything, but ultimately, you know, we got it taken care of. So I'll jump onto my video review, and we'll stop abruptly if anything happens that we need to listen to or see. So, Killzone Shadow Fall, this was a release title for the PS4, and it really does a great job of showing off the graphical capabilities of the system. I mean, I think the sound is passable. There was one place where we hit a couple bugs with it, and I'm trying to remember exactly what happened there. But Graphically, it looks really good. The faces look a little off, but overall, it's a big step up from last generation's graphics. It doesn't necessarily measure up with the absolute best on the console, but it's not bad graphics by any stretch of the imagination. The story was a pretty good story. Overall, I would say that, it's... If I wasn't so frustrated by the gameplay, I would recommend everybody play this story. But, that being said, I found the gameplay to be extremely frustrating. There's a severe lack of waypoints. There's checkpoints, and it'll show you the ultimate checkpoint most of the time. When it doesn't even show you where you're supposed to go at all, it's extremely frustrating trying to find where you're going, and several times throughout this playthrough, I've had to just cut out several minute chunks where I was trying to figure out, well, where do I go now? I can see I'm supposed to get way down there, but how do I do that? And it's nothing intriguing or compelling or puzzle solving. It's just frustrating. Additionally, just waypoints. Like if it had pointed us to where we were supposed to go, that would have been. Oh wait, we're gonna take a pause here. Oh no, it's just the big credits now. If it had pointed us to where we were supposed to go, that would have been better. Also, I just feel like you can't really take a shot, which, I mean, is somewhat realistic, but it didn't make the game a whole lot of fun. You can take a few hits, but if you're familiar with how in Call of Duty your screen grows increasingly red as you take damage, like the whole screen grows red. It's not like blood splatters around the corners. It's the whole screen turning red, and honestly, it makes it very difficult to see, and once you start getting hit, it makes it very easy to die, and that was extremely frustrating. There's several places where in the level design I was also really frustrated because it wasn't exactly clear where you're supposed to go, and experimentation often led to death. And, it's still a very short game, which doesn't stand in its favor. I guess the only way it stands in its favor is that I didn't enjoy it that much, so ultimately I'm glad it was shorter rather than longer. But it doesn't stand for, for a game. It's probably a game that, if everything was clear with good waypoints and everything, it's between, I would guess, 7 and 8 hours. I would say this probably took me 10, just because I had so many times I had to reload, or I got stuck here or there so many times. Like, even just editing our playthrough was extremely frustrating, and I had to put in a lot more editing time than I would in a normal game. While I found the missions to be absolutely beautiful, like the locales that you're fighting in, and even there's times where you're just running through them, and I found it very interesting that they would just include large chunks where you're just sprinting through things, that they would create all this and not put enemies in those areas, and then just kind of jam-pack them all into these little areas, and it was kind of a head scratcher that you spend the resources to put all this stuff in the game, and then you only put enemies in these small areas of it. So, but those areas were great looking. The characters, for the most part, looked good. I love the atmosphere, especially surrounding everything with the Helghans. How you just have these. You have these red eyes that peer out from the darkness at you. I didn't see as much of that where it was like just pitch dark and you see nothing but red eyes. I think we saw some of that on some of the PS3 entries. We didn't see that particularly here, but still, it's just that look is pretty classic, and they did a good job with that. They did a good job with the story. I just wish that it was a little more fun to play. Another thing that was... I'm using the word frustrating a lot, but that really does characterize my time with it, because, I didn't really enjoy the gunplay that much. The guns, they feel great, they shoot well, but, oftentimes you're entirely too reliant on the little drone that it gives you. The drone has several different things that you can do, but the most useful I found was sending them out to either attack or stun the enemies, and you have to be careful not to die, otherwise you can't get revived by your drone. But and that's ultimately his most valuable use. But you know, as you're exploring and platforming, a big frustration, as I was talking with the mission design, is that you know, it's a little more realistic, where your character will kind of bend his knees down, and the camera will go slightly down before it goes up, which is more realistic, but it makes it a little easier to get motion sick. I did get motion sick. I think it was during Mission 8. There was a lot of platforming, there was a lot of verticality to the levels, and I got motion sick during that level. I had to take a break between Missions 8 and 9 because I actually didn't feel good just from watching how choppy everything was. There was a couple other, you know, regrettable choices. It lets you you would be free falling or paragliding, and not really paragliding, but you're in a free fall, and you can control where your character goes, but the controls aren't well explained. Like, it tries to tell you as you're falling, but, you know, trying to read these things while you're trying to avoid hitting a building, very frustrating. I wish it would have just paused and said, hey, here's your controls, here's how this works. A lot of games do this, and instead it tries to give them to you on the fly, and you know, it ends up being a frustrating experience. While those areas should have been thrilling and exhilarating, I just felt like I was constantly dealing with anxiety trying to figure out how to control my character and not hit a building. So ultimately, you know, in the end, I don't think that this is a game I would recommend. You know, and given this is a few years after release, so it's not by any stretch a new game, but you know, I really wish I'd got it for Christmas, and I think we got it for like $12, which isn't a bad price, but I wish I had waited, as I saw it recently in the PlayStation Store for $5 on sale, and that would have been a better price. But, you know, I have a physical copy of the game now, too, that I can lend to a friend if he wants to play it. So there is something else there for that. So it's not a game I would recommend, though. There are much better games that you can play out there on the market, unless you just feel like you have to experience this because it's an exclusive. And but even then, like I said, there are far better games. Any of the Call of Duty titles, I would say, are pretty much superior to this, outside of maybe Ghosts. That might be debatable, but I still think that might have been more enjoyable to run through as a single-player campaign. And yeah, I mean, the modern shooters are obviously, you know, everything from Battlefield 1 to Titanfall to all your modern Call of Duties are going to far outcrop this. So I wouldn't recommend this as a buy. I'm going to give this a 6.5 out of 10. It probably could have been about an 8.5 if the game wasn't just so frustrating. Like I said, I thought they did a pretty nice job on the graphics for a release title. I was really impressed. A lot of it just came down to gameplay design and choices. So I'm going to give this a 6.5, which I'll say a D- or maybe an F. I don't like saying a game completely failed, so my Fs are a little, I don't give them quite as easily, but I'm just going to say that this is a solid D of a game in this day and age. Even back then, I wouldn't have given this really too far above that, because there were so many other games from last generation that I appreciated more, of everything from the Call of Duties to the Crysis games. There's just a number of better first-person shooters, and honestly, Killzone 2 and 3 I thought they were both wonderful. I had a blast with those. I just didn't really have the same experience here, unfortunately. So I've been talking a while, so I'm not going to keep you guys any longer. I hope you enjoyed the game, and if you didn't, just give us a thumbs up to show your support that we muscled through it for you anyway. And by all means, please subscribe to our channel. This is the last episode for Killzone, and we'll have some other games. I'm going to possibly have some highlights from Ghost Recon Wildlands. I'm going to be probably picking that up today. And so yeah, we'll probably have some highlights of that for you at least. I don't think I'm going to put the whole playthrough because it's 40 to 50 hours, and I've heard it gets really repetitive, and it's not one of those games that you have to see every minute of. So Also, we'll probably this week be picking up Near Automata as that also dropped in price today, along with Ghost Recon. So, be looking for our playthrough of that. We just finished posting. We just finished our playthrough of Bloodborne, and I may very well go into more New Game Plus. I think we got up to Father Gascon on New Game Plus there. So yeah, if you want more Bloodborne, please put that in the comments. Let us know. Dark Souls 2 and 3, I probably will be working on those at some point as well. So we've got a lot coming for you. So make sure you subscribe. Leave us a friendly comment or a request for what you'd like to see played. And lastly, don't forget to show your support with a thumbs up. So until next time, this is Savage Sasquatch, and I am out of here as soon as we make sure there's no post-credit stuff. Nope, that is it. So we have multiplayer co-op. You can't play co-op without a season pass. Alright, I'm not interested. Clans. Alright, guys. See you next game.